I've got something to say to you, Connie. Why is it just about the only thing you're good for around here is doing housework, and yet you can't even cook a decent meal? Why on earth do I even allow the privilege of living in this house? There is absolutely no redeeming qualities to you at all. I was just talking to Ashley about you, and I was so relieved to see that we were both on the same page about you. We had such a great time telling each other all the things we hate the most about you.
There you are, Talia. Thank goodness, I've been waiting to hear from you for hours. You said that you were going to eat dinner at the house tonight, so I got everything ready for you, but once the sun went down and I hadn't heard from you, I was starting to get really worried. Jonas told me that he was texting you too. Haven't you been checking your phone?
Oh, for the love of Pete, Connie. Why are you getting so worked up over me setting down my phone for a few hours? My plans changed. My dear Ashley came home for the first time in forever. I was so happy. I told her that we needed to go out to dinner some night to celebrate, and she said she was thinking the same thing. So, since we were both so into the idea, we decided to go out tonight. Isn't that something? We always see eye to eye on everything. It's so wonderful to have a connection with my daughter. My real daughter, that is. You and I are like polar opposites. It's been so hard for me to deal with you being in the house all the time. Lately, I've been feeling like I need to get a break from you.
I see. Well, I'm glad that you and Ashley had a good time together. But I wish you could have shot me a text to let me know. You asked me to make dinner, so I planned on having it ready around the time you usually come home.
There it is again. You just can't help yourself, can you? I have done my very best to put up with you, but I simply can't do it any longer. That is what I hate about you, Connie.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Why do you insist on making snide remarks at me every single chance that you get? Is that how your parents raised you, to be such an overbearing scold? I'll bet that's where you got it. No matter what happens, you always have to be in the right. You always have to be the victim. You never put 1 ounce of thought toward my plans or my needs. You just keep pushing your own opinions and ideals onto everyone else. I am so sick and tired of that attitude of yours.
That wasn't my intention at all, Talia. In fact, I went out of my way to make dinner line up with your schedule, just like I do every day. I understand that circumstances can change, but in that event, I really wish you would send me a simple text to let me know. That's all I'm saying.
You really don't understand what your position is, do you?
I'm not sure I know what you're referring to.
I deigned to allow you to marry my son, and now, out of the kindness of my heart, I'm allowing you to live in my house with me. Ashley told me a lot of things about you tonight, and it all makes perfect sense to me now. I don't need to be concerned about your feelings whatsoever. You're nothing but my lowly daughter-in-law, and you do not have the right to talk to me like you are.
Oh, great. Look, I have no idea what sort of nonsense Ashley was saying to you tonight, but if I'm being completely honest, you never really seemed like you care about my feelings in the first place.
And still you're talking back to me like a snotty teenager. Oh, and don't think I haven't noticed that your cooking has gotten worse over time. What have you been doing to your cooking, Have you been adding anything to it? Maybe poison?
No, I have not been poisoning you. I was never very good at cooking. It's one of my least favorite things to do. I told you all about that before, didn't I? But in spite of that, I decided that I should do whatever I could to help support the family, so I cook dinner for everyone every day.
Don't lie to me. Ever since Ashley's been staying with us, your food definitely tastes worse. Not that your cooking was ever good, but it's far worse than usual lately. You say you're not poisoning me, and we'll assume you're telling the truth for now. But that just means that you're doing it to make Ashley unhappy.
That's not what I'm doing at all. I wish I knew what was going on. I'm tasting the food as I cook, and it always seems fine up until I serve it.
Your food is always either too spicy, too sweet, or too salty. You never get a good flavor balance. I've been baffled by your inability to properly fold a shirt, sweep the floor, or do any other mundane task up until now. But thanks to Ashley, I know exactly what you're doing. You're doing it on purpose to bother me.
Please understand, both Jonas and I have our own jobs. We decided before we got married that we would split up the household duties 50-50.
Yes, I told that to Ashley too, and she agrees with me. That's absolutely scandalous. Housework is a woman's responsibility. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it always will be.
What about your husband, though? He helps out an awful lot with the housework, doesn't he?
He's different. He actually enjoys doing housework. Cooking also happens to be a hobby of his. I suppose he's been rather busy lately, so he only ever cooks on the weekends. And even though you were gifted with a father-in-law who, for God knows what reason, enjoys doing the housework, you still do nothing but complain about everything.
I would say that's a bit of an overstatement.
Speaking of overstate, I think you've overstayed your welcome. How long are you planning on living with us anyway?
Why do you ask?
Because there are no benefits whatsoever to having you in the house. My real daughter is coming to stay with us, so I can help her take care of the baby after she gives birth. That means you need to get out. Clear all your things out of your room immediately. I'm giving her your room.
What's wrong with the guest room she's sleeping in right now?
It's far too small.
All the bedrooms other than the master bedroom are the same size.
Well, then it feels too small. In any case, you're moving out as soon as possible.
Is this all coming from Ashley, too?
Of course it isn't. I've been wanting to have you out of my sight for as long as you've been living with us. And honestly, how thick can you possibly be? I was sure you would take the hint that you're neither wanted nor needed once Ashley came to stay with us. You continue to surprise me, Connie, and never in a good way.
I see. Sorry to disappoint you.
Spare me your apologies and get packing. I want you completely gone from my house by the time I get back. Do I make myself clear? That means you have just a few hours left, so do hurry.
You're kicking me out tonight?
Would you like me to refer you to some nice homeless shelters in the area?
I'll pass. Talia, are you really sure you want to do this?
Am I sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. All you do in the house is get in the way of my happiness. You'll have to find someone else who's willing to put up with you. Or if you can't, you'll just have to find yourself a nice cardboard box to live in.
All right then. I'll be leaving. And taking the $5,000 per month I put in toward our living expenses with me. I wish you all the best of luck making ends meet without me.
Are you serious? We'll be doing just fine without your dead weight. Remember, you have until midnight tonight to get out. And make sure you leave a clean room when you go.
As you wish.
What on earth? What did you do, Connie? All our furniture, appliances, the TV, the microwave, the beds, everything is gone. What did you do with all of our things, you little thief?
You asked me to take all my stuff out of the house, so I did. Did I not leave it clean enough for you?
Don't get smart with me. Did you think you would be able to just get away with stealing all of my things? Bring it all back immediately, or else I'm calling the police.
That won't do you any good.
And why not?
I'm just saying I don't think the police are going to be able to make me give you guys all of my stuff. Seeing as though, it's mine.
What do you mean?
I mean just what I said. Every single piece of furniture, appliance, and every other electronic device was bought by Jonas and I. We've just been letting you use them free of charge. And you told me to take my stuff and leave, so I did. What's the problem? Did you forget what it was like in there when we moved in? The newest thing you had was a TV from 20 years ago. Half of the other stuff was broken, so we bought an entire new set of household essentials for you.
You did? I don't remember that.
Well, it's the truth. I can show you the receipts if you want.
But what is Jonas going to do now? How is he going to live here like this? There's not even any beds for him to sleep on. Are you fine with forcing your husband to sleep on the floor?
What are you talking about? Jonas is my husband and he's on my side. We're both moving out together. So you don't need to worry about him. He'll be sleeping perfectly comfortably.
What? But that's ridiculous. He doesn't need to move out, just you. His sister's going to give birth in a matter of weeks. He should be here by her side.
Jonas and Ashley never had a particularly close sibling relationship. Then, after seeing what you and Ashley were doing and saying to me, he had enough. He said that if you guys were going to kick me out, then he was going to go with me.
This can't be happening. What did you tell him? You must have told him a pack of awful lies to get him to do this to me.
I didn't need to tell him anything. He's always told me that he's basically lived his entire life by looking at you and doing everything in the exact opposite way. That's why he's become such a good man. I was kind of confused when he first told me about that, but now that I've met you, it all makes total sense.
I told you earlier today, Connie, you are my daughter-in-law, and I will not allow you to speak to me like that. Just like I won't allow you to steal my things. Bring it all back this instant.
I already told you it's all mine, so that's not going to happen. Not to mention, I'm the one who's been paying for practically everything around here to the tune of $5,000 per month. So, if we're talking about what's mine and yours, I'll probably put enough money into that house to buy it outright.
What? What do you mean?
We've already been through this. I told you that I was leaving and taking the $5,000 I put into our expenses every month with me, didn't I? I meant every word of that. It would be nice to get a thank you for all I've done for you up until now, but I'm not holding my breath.
You mean you were telling the truth?
Let me put it to you this way. You're free to believe what I said or not. But at the end of the month, when all the bills come due, you're going to find out the hard way. And additionally, you spend most of your days God knows where doing God knows what. So I'm the one who's been doing nearly all of the housework for you. You're in for a very, very rude awakening now that I'm gone.
Don't act like such a martyr for doing a few chores every now and then. I am a far more capable homemaker than you. I won't have any trouble at all. Not to mention I have my husband here to help me, and if you really were spending $5,000 a month, all I can say is you must have terrible spending habits. I'll be able to make do with much less.
For your sake, I sure hope that's true. For my part, I've told you nothing but the truth tonight and done exactly what you told me to do. If you don't like it, that's your problem, not mine.
You really are a nasty little woman, aren't you? I have no idea why my fine, upstanding son saw fit to marry a lowly woman such as yourself. If you cared about him at all, you'd divorce him and set him free.
Again, we've been through this. Jonas is on my side. He's not going to divorce me just because you threw a temper tantrum. He's not going to divorce me at all, actually. We're in this for life.
That's it. I can't talk to you anymore. I don't want to see your face or hear your voice anymore. Now that you're out of my house, I am going to be happier than I ever dreamed possible. And I won't have you coming around to mess it all up again, so I think I'll go ahead and block your number right now.
Go right ahead. Goodbye, Talia.
Hey, Connie? I'm really sorry about yesterday. Things got pretty hectic. We really had to rush to get everything out the door before my mom got back. My legs and back are still tired from moving all that furniture, and I'll bet you're just as tired. But hey, I still see this as an overall positive for us. Thanks to my mom going crazy last night, I finally have the best excuse I could ask for to cut her out of my life. From now on, we'll be able to have a nice, peaceful, quiet life with just the two of us. One thing that concerned me, though, I was talking to my dad this morning. He told me that Mom was up way past midnight texting you. Is that right? He said her face was beet red and all scrunched up like she was super angry. She was probably getting on your case about everything. Was everything all right?
Yeah, she was not happy, to say the least. But yeah, I was fine. Thanks for asking, Jonas. You were so tired from moving that you had already fallen asleep by the time she started texting me. I figured there was no point in waking you up to tell you about it. We could just talk about it in the morning. And yeah, so you were right on target. She texted me complaining about all the stuff in the house being gone.
Yep, there's not much else that she would be talking to you about. But what I was really wanting to ask was, are you okay? Like, how are you doing with everything? It must be a lot to take in over such a short period of time.
Yeah, it is a bit much, but I'm less worried about myself and more worried about your dad. I feel really guilty for leaving him behind like that. I mean, your dad has always been incredibly kind and generous to me. I never had any problem with him. But he still had to just stand by and watch as we took all of our stuff and left. That couldn't have been a very pleasant experience for him. I'm worried that I was so angry at your mom that I went and did something to hurt your dad, which I never wanted to do.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I appreciate the fact that you're so concerned about my dad. For his part, he gave me his blessing to leave the house. He said that we didn't need to worry about him. All that he wanted was for us to enjoy our married life together.
That sounds just like your dad.
That's what he said anyway, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be really hard for him to deal with living in that house from now on. Not only are we leaving, but Ashley's moving in, and she's gonna be there for a while. That is not going to be easy for him to deal with.
Yeah, I'll bet. Oh, hold on a second. I just got another text. Jonas!
Huh? What is it?
Great news! Like, the best possible news I could have gotten. We don't have to worry about your dad any longer. With this, he's finally going to be free.
Wait a minute. Do you mean you got the report already? No way! I never thought he would finish this quickly.
I'm just as surprised as you are, but he said he has everything we need. I still haven't read all of the fine details, but from what he's saying, I think this might be even bigger than we were imagining. We'll talk about that later in person, okay? The important thing right now is that we'll be able to make our move tomorrow. Today started on kind of a negative note, but now things are really looking up.
Jonas, what is the meaning of this? We had a special delivery come to the house, which I thought was odd because I haven't ordered anything. But then your father said it was for him, and you would not believe what is happening right now. And imagine my shock when I found out that you were apparently in on the whole thing. It's all that awful Connie's fault, isn't it? You changed ever since you married her. She's completely corrupted your good heart with her evil lies. But it's not too late for you. I can still save you. You need to divorce that woman at once and come back home. Please, your family needs you. I need you.
Mom, how long are you going to keep doing this? Even when you've been caught red-handed, you're still going to try and claim that it's everyone else's fault but your own? You're the one who's in the wrong here. That's plain for anyone to see. This is all happening because you were thinking of yourself without any consideration for Dad or his feelings. It gives me no pleasure to be saying this, but after seeing what I've seen, I'm frankly embarrassed to be your son.
Jonas, no. I didn't raise you to be the kind of boy who talks to his own mother that way. What happened to you? Don't you understand what this means? Your father's going to divorce me at this rate. Is that what you want to happen?
It doesn't seem like it matters what I want to happen or not. Dad's gonna do what he needs to do. It's not my place to try and influence him one way or another. But regardless of his decision, you have only yourself to blame, Mom. And it's not like I'm a little kid anymore. I'm old enough to be able to handle my parents breaking up. But if you're asking me for my opinion, I think it's definitely in Dad's best interests for him to divorce you as soon as possible. He's worked so hard to support you over the years. He's been everything that you could have asked for in a husband. And this is how you repay him? By betraying his trust in such a cruel, disgusting way? You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Please, Jonas, you have to understand. I made a mistake. That's all this is. Ever since your father and I got married, all I've been is a housewife. And when you're a housewife, you have quite a bit of free time. And your father's a hard worker, yes, but you know what that means. It means that he's away at work for most of the day. So there I was, my housework all done for the day, nothing interesting on TV, and no husband to keep me company. I got lonely, and so I did what any normal person would do. I went out and found someone to keep me company.
Oh, give me a break. Is that really your excuse? Well, if you think I'm gonna buy that excuse for 1 second, you got another think coming. Yeah, Dad worked long hours in order to support you, by the way. But ever since we moved in with you guys, you've barely done anything around the house. You just shoved all the work onto Connie. So that's why you had so much free time, because you stopped doing housework, which was your only job. And you think having extra free time justifies finding someone to keep you company practically every day of the week?
What was I supposed to do? Talk to Connie? Oh, she hates me.
I think your behavior toward her has a lot to do with that, don't you? And besides, you could have, gone to a bridge club or taken up a hobby. Anything but have an affair with Ashley's ex-boyfriend's father. God, just the thought of the two of you together makes me want to puke.
Please don't talk that way about us. After all, he's the father of the man that Ashley fell in love with. It's only natural that we would have a connection. And when you think about it, Ashley isn't entirely innocent in all of this either.
Look, I have no interest in getting any more involved in my parents' relationship than I already am. Frankly, you shouldn't want me to get involved here. The only concerned parties are you, Dad, Ashley, her ex-boyfriend, and his father, your boyfriend. I only have 2 more things to say on this matter, and then I'm done. First off, don't you dare do anything to humiliate Dad any more than you already have. And second, don't you dare drag my wife into your mess any more than you already have. Those are not suggestions, those are not requests, they are demands. And if you violate either of them, I swear to you, as God is my witness, I will destroy you.
Connie, can we talk? I wanted an opportunity to apologize for my actions the other day. I'm terribly sorry for everything I've done to you. So please, can't you help me? There's no one else I can ask but you. My son is furious with me.
And what makes you think I'm any less angry at you than he is? Seriously, I told you to never contact me again. What did you expect would happen if you came to me begging for help?
You're partially responsible for this, too. My husband told me that you were the one who suggested he hire a private detective to follow me around. You knew about all of this, didn't you?
Yeah, I did actually. Your husband came to me a while back saying that he wanted to talk about you. He had noticed certain changes in your behavior and was suspicious from the start. All I did was tell him that my woman's intuition told me that something was definitely up with you. But all we had were our suspicions. We didn't have any evidence of what you were doing. So we decided that we should have you checked out to see if our suspicions were correct, and that's when I decided to talk to a private detective.
I knew it! You were the one responsible for all of this! You should have kept your mouth shut. This was a matter between me and my husband. It didn't concern you.
Ah, yes, the tried and true last resort of people with nothing else to say in their own defense.
You shouldn't have noticed the bad things I'm doing.
Well, newsflash, Talia, you and Ashley shouldn't have been doing those bad things in the first place. If you don't do anything bad, there wouldn't be anything for me to notice. And can you really fault me for noticing? You two practically weren't even trying to hide what you were doing.
What? What are you talking about?
Remember the other night when you went out to dinner with Ashley but didn't tell me? You know that night you accused me of being insensitive for having your dinner ready at the time you usually get home? It wasn't just you and Ashley at the dinner that night, was it? No, there were 4 people sitting at the table that evening. You and Ashley were there, of course, along with her ex-boyfriend and his father. I'll bet you were talking about all sorts of scandalous, salacious things that night, weren't you?
No. How did you know about that?
Have you been paying attention? We hired a private detective. He told us everything. I guess the 2 of you were all over each other whenever Ashley and her ex-boyfriend stepped away from the table. Seriously, you're almost old enough to have teenage grandchildren, and yet there you are acting like a couple of love-struck teenagers.
But what in God's name was Ashley thinking?
Meeting in secret with her ex-boyfriend while she's getting ready to give birth? I don't think her husband would be very happy to hear about that.
Okay, fine, you're right. We both did some slightly inappropriate things that night. But enough about the past. I am worried about my future. All I want right now is to enjoy my life with my husband, Ashley, and her baby. I never wanted this to happen. If my husband really divorces me, then what am I supposed to do? How will I get by without him?
That's your problem, not mine. Whatever the consequences of your actions are, you brought it all upon yourself. If you end up losing everything, then I can only say it's because you deserve to lose everything. I don't think you have any right to object after what you've done.
I know that I've messed up. I already apologized for kicking you out of the house, and now I'm inviting you to come back and live with us. We can start over, be a family again. Wouldn't that be the best outcome for everyone? We can all forget our differences and move forward together.
Be a family again? What do you mean again? You never treated me like family in the first place. And I never felt very much like you were family either. And it's like I said earlier, why in the world are you coming to me for help? It's painfully obvious that the only reason you're trying to pull the family card on me is because you're terrified of what's coming to you. Seriously, you're like an evil mother-in-law from a soap opera. I don't want to hear any talk about family from the likes of you. You've hurt the people around you far too much to be forgiven anymore. All that's left for you to do now is realize the weight of your sins and suffer the consequences. With an emphasis on the suffering part, that is. My father-in-law immediately filed for divorce after we got the report from the private detective. Given the length of her affair and the fact that she was seeing her boyfriend while her husband was working to support her, she received absolutely nothing in the divorce, no alimony, no property. She was kicked out of her husband's house and onto the street. I would be lying if I say that I didn't take some pleasure in that. I mean, the woman who tried to kick me out onto the street, getting her comeuppance in the most ironic way possible, that's just too good to be true. Talia didn't give up on begging me for help, though, and asked if I would be willing to take both her and Ashley into our home. When Jonas found out about that, he went berserk. He didn't mince words with the two of them. He told them that he would destroy them if they ever tried to drag me into their nonsense again. He filed for restraining orders against the both of them, which were granted without issue. But that wasn't quite enough. He was especially angry at his sister, since she's the one who introduced Talia to her ex-boyfriend's father. And she was also the driving force behind Talia kicking us out of their house. So he did the one thing that Ashley wanted to avoid at all costs. He told her husband about everything. Ashley's husband put her on final notice. If she ever met with Talia or her ex-boyfriend again, he would divorce her on the spot. Not wanting to lose her husband like Talia did, Ashley adhered to his demands and blocked Talia's number. It seems like Talia's dream of holding her grandchild in her arms will never come true. As for me, I owe a debt of gratitude to Jonas for how he stood up to his own mother for me. My goal for the future is to be a wife deserving of his love and respect.